Welcome to Ehrs' Take on Andragogy, a podcast for K-12 teachers curious about what it means to teach in higher education. I'm Courtney Ehrs, and today we're exploring andragogy. Let's start with something familiar, learning objectives. As a teacher, especially in K-12 settings, it's typical to hear that we are to have objectives posted and visible. We know that we're supposed to address objectives clearly and regularly, and that the students should know exactly what skills they're working on. But when teaching adults, there's more to it than just stating the objectives and having your students know what skills they're working on. Adult learners need to know how those learning objectives pertain to their course studies, how the skills will benefit them, and how those objectives align with their personal goals and interests. This understanding of purpose and relevance is one of the components that makes andragogy differ from traditional pedagogy. Andragogy is a specific theory of learning within pedagogy, but it focuses entirely on adult learners. When we hear pedagogy, it is typically referring to those effective teaching strategies that we use with children. In this traditional pedagogy, when working with children, teachers lead the instruction and they determine when and how the students will learn the skills. In grade school, a common strategy used is I do, we do, you do. Teaching the skills by explicit teaching, then supported practice, and ultimately having the students apply the skills independently. In higher education, we should be using andragogy because the students are not starting from scratch. They're adults. They have foundational skills. And more than that, they have life experience. They don't need a gradual release of responsibility. In andragogy, instructors are not the source of knowledge. Rather, they're facilitators that support the learning, in which case the instructor becomes more of a guide than a teacher. Strategies under the andragogy theory aim to engage adult learners, increase motivation, and put more of the responsibility on them as students. When adult learners have tools, technology, and resources available, and they know how to use them, they will often take ownership of their own learning independently. In my coursework, I have found that real-world learning, especially when it's connected to a student's personal or career goal, is the most effective in fostering motivation and subsequently success. With adult motivation often being internal rather than influenced by external factors, we are more likely to invest in learning skills that interest us or that can be applied in our everyday lives. Allowing students to have some self-direction gives them space to grow and engage fully. Real-world learning can happen in all kinds of ways. It could be through fieldwork, project-based learning, or integrating technology that students can immediately put to use. Let me share an example of when an instructor used andragogy in a way that stuck with me. In one of my college courses, an instructor provided clear rubrics and expectations, but also gave us voice and choices within the assignment. We were asked to research history topics with a thematic process under topics like war, disease, technological advancements, but each student was to choose a region to focus on. I chose a region that my ancestors had immigrated from. Because of that personal connection, I was more invested and more motivated to research. I didn't just have to learn, I wanted to. It was personally meaningful beyond just aligning with my course studies. One of the biggest challenges or concerns I foresee with implementing andragogy strategies is truly being knowledgeable as an instructor with tools, technologies, and resources that can support our students. And beyond that, keeping up to date with said technology as it evolves in our quickly advancing world. One other concern I have personally for myself is providing consistent prompt feedback that's valuable to my adult learners in a way that honors their independence while still guiding them. Even with my hesitations, I believe andragogy is important, effective, and helps the students and professors be successful. When we support adult learners with relevance, autonomy, and real-world application, they thrive. Thank you so much for spending this time with me on Ehrs' take on andragogy. Keep learning, and as my history-loving friend Gail would say, be kind. It's not that hard.